Welcome to another edition of Mic Checka, the episodes and shows where I have conversations with dope people doing dope things. I got one of my homies, another homie from Iowa State. Dan Terrell was the first person from Iowa State that came on. Now I got somebody else. I always tell people all the time, they don't think that black people will be in Iowa. We are the example, and Nicole is the super example of it because she is from Iowa.
That's right.
The
Waterloo,
pride of
Iowa.
Waterloo.
Yes. Waterloo,
Lou Town.
Iowa.
As I tell people all the
Yeah.
time, I thought people were saying they was from St. Louis when I first got to school because everybody say the Lou. So I was like, oh man, it's a gang of St. Louis people here. Like, no, that's Waterloo.
Waterloo. That's right.
I mean,
Waterloo.
this sister, man, went to school, fashion design. I mean, she was one of the only first girls on campus wearing couture. And it was her own design. No, look, you laugh. I'm dead ass. I got pictures I'm gonna put up in a minute of you and some of your couture joints back in the day.
No, I'm laughing so hard because the last time I saw you in New York, you told me that. And like it really clicked for me. Like something else clicked when we had that last conversation.
Yeah, think about this is 99, 2000. Like girls now is probably more of an open thing for that. This is 99, 2000, and you got on something ain't nobody else got on in the party ever. They ain't purchased it, they ain't nothing. You will make it late. The party's like, yo, I'm still pinning up some stuff. That's why I made it late.
No, you told me that you was like, wasn't nobody trying to date you? And I was like,
no, man, nobody wasn't ready for that.
So.
Nobody wasn't ready for that. That's for some 30-year-old man. I'm 19 out here. What do you?
Oh my God, that hits so differently. Okay, I'm back. Hey y'all.
And she is. I mean, she works for Hanes as a fashion forecaster. I mean, I'm gonna get into her why she ain't designing no more couture stuff, on a bigger scale. Because I mean, I'm trying to get something I'm trying to make. I'm doing my 40th birthday is next month, and I'm doing every decade of my life all black designers though. So that's so
I love it.
Yeah. So my 90s one, what I'm saying, but it's going to be the Captain Save-A Ho outfit from E40. I got the sweatshirt. I'm getting the C. I'm getting everything on that bad boy. I'm getting the cape, getting the hat.
Oh my God.
I'm trying to find a phone booth now here. This has been the thing, is trying to find a place with a phone booth. So that's been my hard thing, to find a phone booth for me to jump out the phone booth.
Oh my
Yo, when you see these pictures,
I see how this interview is gonna go.
Yeah, okay. No, it's gonna be fun. Like you was all like, man, I don't know what we gonna be talking about. Like, we just gonna kick it.
Okay, got it.
And she started her own women's empowerment group, designed her life. Man, like she was taking women out the country and stuff, and they all laid up on the beach and stuff. I'm like, where the players at? I'm looking. I was like, damn, I wanted to inbox and be like, when you do the next one, can you just like let me know the hotel for all the ladies that's there and everything, and I get this pop. Oh, Nicole. Oh, snap. It's happy to see you here.
Yes. Yep. So yeah, all of that is true.
Nicole Sallis, everybody. This is dope for her to be coming on, man.
Well, thank you for having me.
Yeah. So I always like to start the beginning. So I know Sal tells me a lot of. I'm like, you missed your brother's 40th birthday party. That was a crazy weekend.
Did I?
Yeah, you weren't there because it was me, D, both D's, Breon, not Marv, Murph, and a couple other people, man. We was all there because they stayed with him, and I was like, man, I gotta get my own hotel, man. I'm used to some different things. They all stayed with your brother. I was like, no, I'm gonna get a hotel and take an Uber over your crib every morning to kick it. I got certain standards I didn't set for myself. I'm in my own hotel.
Oh yes, I do remember now. So no, I was here. We actually did. It was like one of those. We celebrated and did a dinner, and then he kicked it with the guys, the fellas, on the weekend, kind of thing. So I actually came
Oh, okay.
earlier that week. Yeah, that's kind of how that happened. I remember now because I was like, I don't know that I would have missed no
Well, yeah, because he
40.
did a dinner. I know the year before though too. I happened to be down there I was in my cousin's wedding, and I was down there the year before that. And one of my homegirls we had on the podcast already. She just won state rep in his district in Texas. I was like, yo, she was like, yo, your boy here is from Iowa State. And I was like, who's my boy from Iowa State? And it was your brother. And this is the year before your brother's birthday party. And I took an Uber from their hotel out to kick it with them. And he was like, dude, I was like, man, all y'all cats, everybody black know each other that's doing their thing, man. Like,
clearly, that's a small world. Yeah, so it was like that's how we split it up. It was like family one weekend, we did dinner, and then it was like, I'm just trying to kick it with my boys. And then all of y'all came in like that next weekend. So that's how we missed each other.
Okay. So I'm like, man, where you? He's like, man, my sister ain't coming. I was like, all right, well, shit, I ain't gonna keep it.
Yes. So yeah, I am in Dallas actually now, between Dallas and New York. So I moved to New York after college.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Iowa State. Yep, and was there. I also spent a little time in the LA area working out there in their fashion industry. I was in Sweden for a little while, less than a year though. And then I'm back and forth between Dallas and New York currently.
So let's go back. Let's start from the beginning. So you grew up in Waterloo, Iowa, because where are your parents? Where are your black people from? Like where, like Mississippi, Texas, Alabama, Arkansas. Where are they from?
So my grandmother, funny thing, my grandmother on my mother's side actually grew up, and my mom grew up in the St. Louis area.
Sal did tell me that. That's right.
Yeah. So I got a lot of family in St. Louis, and then my grandmother on my father's side, on my father's side, actually, that group came from Mississippi.
Okay. Yeah, everybody from Mississippi. Mississippi it still got a lot of black people there.
And apparently it was some opportunities in Iowa.
Yeah, people don't sleep on that like that, especially at that time. It was open area for you to be able to do what you want to do, especially coming in the Midwest. And then he was like, okay, I'm necessarily going to Chicago or St. Louis or Detroit. Let's check out Iowa.
Yeah, a couple of people stopped in Iowa, my grandmother and grandfather included. And then, they stopped there, raised their family there, bought a house there, and we ended up growing up in Waterloo, Iowa. So I'm here to break the norm that there is black people in Iowa.
So how many times do you get that when you talk to random people about they don't believe you from Iowa?
Oh, every day. Like I still have every single day. Like I still have my 319 number, which is the Iowa number. So, me living in New York, people are constantly like, what the heck is 319? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Iowa. And it is, every single time I say it, somebody is like, I didn't even know that there were black people in Iowa, especially black people that work in the fashion industry in New York. Like everybody's like, wait, what? So I get it every single day. Like it's nonstop.
There's a lot of black people that are prominent in general life that's from Iowa though. Like Hill Harper, Nia Long is both of them from like Iowa City. Like both of them from Iowa City.
It is, but for whatever reason, it's not publicized in a way, I guess. But there are some other people. I want to say like a couple other people. I can't think of them right now, but there's like a couple comedians, like a woman comedian that's popping right now that just got a show on HBO. She's from Cedar Rapids. It's just a number of people that you would never know. Nicole Hannah-Jones, she's right. Recently, she just recently got a Pulitzer Prize award and did the whole 1619 project and been on Oprah and everything. She went to West High. She's from Waterloo, Iowa. So it's a number of people.
Is she more your brother's class or?
She's actually about 2 years older than my brother. So I want to say 3 years older than my brother. So
he's up there with like June. She's up there with like June and them then.
No, June is along with my brother. She's probably about 2 or 3 years older than them.
Okay.
And she works at the New York Times. So it's a bunch of people that, I mean, now we're not getting together
Right, right.
at reunions out here. We should be at some level, but there are a lot of people that are in entertainment that people have probably heard of or know about that are from Iowa and they just don't know it. So I would definitely
And
say
people, I tell people all the time, go to Des Moines real quick, and you'll figure out we black people are everywhere.
everywhere, especially if you go to like Des Moines, Cedar Rapids, Waterloo. you
Waterloo,
you
Sioux
will see way
City,
more Black people. Sioux City, Fort Dodge.
Council
Even
Bluffs.
those places, yes, you will see way more Black people than what you ever thought was there. They are there, and it's fly ones that are
Yeah,
making things
look. We gonna just to jump right into that. So
and
I remember the first time I met Nicole. It was we because we both came in Iowa State the same year,
we
and
did. Yeah.
we were at the freshman orientation thing. Nicole had on a dope outfit for like the general like freshman orientation thing, like at the stadium. It was at the stadium. It was at Jack Trice. Remember, it was at Jack Trice. They had all the freshmen out there, and they gave us the little bullshit T-shirts and all that stuff, like freshman entering and all that. And I was like, man, I think she's from New York. G, I forgot. I was talking to Brad, and I was like, hey man, she from like New York or something, man. And he's like, dang, all right, yeah, shit. I was like, I'm from Louisiana, you from St. Louis, all right. And then I actually met you at a union party.
I believe. Okay, I believe that. Yeah.
Didn't even know you, because I don't know, how did you end up getting into the dorm away from everybody else up in like, what you was up in like Linden or whatever, right? Freshman
I
year,
was
right?
in, yeah, either Linden or Maple. I started in Larch.
Because you were like not with us on our side, on the west side of campus.
No, I was in Maple. I was in Maple. I got put in Maple. So I'm not sure exactly why I got put in there. But for
Because that's the
whatever
athlete
reason,
dorm. Back then, that was the athlete dorm.
it was. And so for whatever reason, I ended up in Maple. So
See, I have a
it's
conspiracy
my
about that. I
fault.
think they put all the bad chicks in the Maple because of athletes was over there. That's just what I always thought.
Well, thank you. First of all, I don't know that that's true. I don't know, but I
I
thought
always
we
thought
were.
that would be a great like thing for a coach to be able to like, okay, well we got black players here. We need to have like bad black girls here. We need to make sure they in this dorm. That was like a concept that maybe I came up with it and it's not true. But I thought that
I
would be
don't think
like make
that's
sense.
I thought it was very random. I was kind of far away, but at the end of the day, I ended up in Maple. I'm not sure why.
And but you
But
was always hanging out on our side of campus though.
clearly, I mean, of course, because my brother was there. He was probably off campus by
Yeah, your
then.
brother's in an apartment then, I believe.
Yeah, with the Junes and the Dreys and the Murphs and all of them. But yes, I was in Maple, and I mean, it was fine. I was in Maple for a little while. It just was boring. Everybody, y'all was popping. All the parties were happening where y'all were. So I
Yeah, the
was
west
trying to,
side was popping. That was
yeah, for sure. So I was trying to figure out my way on how to get over there. And even my girlfriends were over
That's what
there.
I'm saying.
So
Like, how did you like you literally like I didn't even know you were in Maple to this conversation. I always thought you were like in Linden or like Helzer or something.
no, I was in Maple. I think maybe, to be honest, I'm gonna be real honest. I want to say that I initially coming. So backstory,
Mm-hmm.
right? I was not planning to go to Iowa State. I actually wanted to go to an art institute. I
Or
wanted to be in
FIT
New
or
York. Yeah, I wanted to be in New York. I wanted to go straight from high school to living in New York, being in the industry. I was like, I don't know that I really need college. I need to like be focusing on my dream. And I already know what I want to do. I'm going out here to pursue it. So, but my parents was like, that's a no-go. You going to college, that's it, kind of thing. And I was just like, whatever. So I ended up coming to Iowa State because Iowa State had the best fashion program in Iowa. But I was so dead set and like stubborn about it, about me going to New York, that I literally tried to put it off to the last minute. So I feel like instead of being able to like pick my dorm or be strategic about it, I just remember that Maple was like a new dorm. And I just feel
mm-hmm.
like my mom probably, or my parents was probably like, okay, this is a new spot. It's going to be nice. You're going to like it. We're signing you up for that kind of thing. And so it wasn't
And you
really,
still like, I'm not going. You still like, I'm not
I'm
going.
going to New York. You can sign me up for whatever you want to sign me up for.
I'm not going.
I'm going to New York. If I get this job, I'm going to be in New York kind of thing. And so I feel like that's how I ended up in Maple. It wasn't anything like strategic or anything that I planned. I just felt like I ended up there. So it wasn't, that's how it happened. But
Yeah,
then
it's funny. I had a story like that. My grandmother raised me into my life, and I was gonna be in Towers, and they didn't have no air
oh,
conditions. And my grandmother called to Iowa State, said I have like heat issues or whatever. Because you remember Towers that have air conditioning.
I didn't know that. I didn't stay
Towers does not have air
apartment.
conditioning.
My brother stayed in the towers.
Right. See,
Before I got
and then they were like, well, we have those by Friley. And she's like, okay, yeah, send them there. And that's how I met everybody I met. My whole life would be different, I feel, if I never went to Friley instead of going to Towers. Because everybody I met, from the Nates, the Trays, everybody that helped engulf me into being at Iowa State, I wouldn't even have been there. I might have even left Iowa State because I didn't want to go there first. I was trying to go to New York.
Really?
Yeah, like I was on East Coast, like literally the Iowa State was the only Midwest school out of Mizzou that I applied for. I applied for Fairfield in Connecticut. I applied at Northeastern, Boston U. I was everywhere was East Coast, but it was a recruiter from Iowa State that talked to my grandmother and he got me to apply. And she sent in everything for me, everything. And then they gave me some money. And then it was like, well, damn, I guess that's where I'm going. And so I didn't end up going to Iowa State till July.
Yeah, I was mad.
I was gonna go to Mizzou. I was all those fellas. I was like, I'm gonna go to Mizzou.
I think that's why I didn't get into Friley, maybe because, like I said, I was so late getting all my stuff in. Then I was like rebelling, like I'm going to New York. I don't care where y'all put me because I'm not going, kind of thing. And then last minute, I was like, okay, I guess I'm going to Iowa State because I didn't get the role that I wanted, and I ended up in Maple. But yes, once I figured out that all of y'all and all the cool people were in Friley, then that's where I was trying to spend my time. So that's why I was around most of the time.
Do you remember me, June, and Lauren's birthday party the first year? And Jeremiah too.
Yes. I remember before I even got to Iowa State and my brother was going there, June threw, for whatever reason, June threw the best parties. Like he used to have.
So people understand if they ever meet this brother, he's so laid back. You would never know. Never know.
You would never. It's so unassuming. It's so. If you ever meet him, he is not a party guy. Like he is so laid.
He's been with the same woman since high school. Listen,
me and his wife were in the same class, so I've known her basically since forever. You know what I'm saying? Like 7th grade. So like literally they've been together forever. He is so laid back. You just would never look at him and be like, oh, he's the party guy. But for whatever reason, it went down at June's house. So yes, even before I got there, my brother had taken me to a party at June's house. And I was like, wow, if this is what college is like, then I might need to reconsider this college thing because it's popping. And I was at June's house. And then they went over to like some little after party deal at Friends or whatever it was called that was like downtown. And I was like, okay, I would say might not be that bad. But yes, I say all of that to say I remember for sure the birthday party that you guys
Yeah, because Brylan is from Waterloo too, right?
Brylan, JJ, Andre, Rainey, Marcus, June, all of us were from Waterloo. Ebony Jackson.
That's right. Ebony,
Waterloo.
Portia.
Derek was from Waterloo. I mean, it was a ton. Cassie Jenkins, Deshae White I mean, it was a ton of people there from Waterloo.
And this is she's named more Black people that people thought was in Iowa right now. But they're like, man, you maxed me out the amount of Black people I thought was in Iowa. Just from the names of your town.
A few. That's just a few. That's not even everyone.
And that's not even getting in Des Moines. That's not even getting in Des Moines, which is the main city there. That's not even getting there.
Right. Yeah, it's way I just want to just cap this conversation off with, let's normalize the fact that there are Black people everywhere
Yes.
and dope Black people everywhere, and that and Iowa is included for sure.
So how
Yeah.
did you get into fashion though? Like, I mean, like we were wearing long white tees, wave caps at parties, and you were coming in with couture dresses.
No, let me tell you. So I'm about to tell them this whole personal conversation that me and you had. So we were talking about dating, right?
Right. We was
Dating
in
in
New
college
York. We was at the rooftop. Yeah, in
in
New
New
York.
York. And Swiss said to me, nobody was trying to date you. And I said, well, why not? And he was like, you was coming into the college parties and we had on long t-shirts and you had on fur coats. What was we gonna do with that? When
Nothing.
I tell you, I had never, no one had ever really like simplified and like made it like that. I didn't make it like, to me, that wasn't even my intention. My intention was, how can I continue to be fully expressed? Like, that's always been my motivation. Like, whatever I want my hair to be, whatever I want to show up as, I'm not going to compare myself to any of like the artists that are out here, but in that very lane, it's like, what theme am I going for today? And then how can I make myself and adorn myself or create something that's going to fit into that theme? So I think it was just like, I was just super creative and didn't have anywhere else to put it but into my clothes and myself and how I was styling myself, right? So I started because my grandmother was a designer.
Oh wow.
So she was a designer, and I always say, like, I'm half my grandmother on my mom's side and then half my grandmother on my dad's side, because one was a designer that had a boutique in Waterloo while I was growing up. So I spent a lot of time as a baby, like in her boutique, going to her fashion shows, making Barbie doll clothes for my Barbies. And it was just really, to me, it was literally like Alice in Wonderland to me. You know
Mm.
what I mean? Like, it was like, oh, I can dream up something at 6, 7, 5, 6, 7 years old. I can draw it on the paper. I could put a little color on it, give it to my grandmother, and she would like sew it up. And it was like magic. It was like, oh, I can actually think of something and we can bring it to life, and I can see it kind of come into life and put it on my Barbie dolls and make it real. So for me, I was fascinated and locked in from as far as I can remember. I don't remember anything else. Obsessed with New York magazines and fashion magazines and Barbie dolls and clothes and fabric and all of that since I was a baby. So that's really where it came from. So for me in high school, by the time I got to high school, I can make patterns, I can sew, I can draw, I can design, I can do all types of stuff. So I just was very naive, ignorant, and like, I don't, it's like, what are they going to teach me? My grandmother has taught me all I needed to learn, and I'm ready to go to New York.
You was like, this is this
Kind of
is
thing.
this
But
is
I was
it's ready to
absolutely
go.
wrong. I think that I'm ready to go. I'm ready to, like, for whatever reason, my heart was set on New York. I felt like any other place was not going to give me the level of opportunity that I felt like I needed in order to get my quote unquote big shot. So I was just literally obsessed from high school of how I can get to New York, how I could get to New York, and how I could be a
All
fashion
right, I'm
designer kind
screen
of
sharing
thing.
this for everybody right.
Oh, really? You
Check,
so
look,
out of
look here, y'all.
order.
You see, and I'm gonna show y'all how we was dressed in a second. This is what she's wearing. This is in 99, 2000, y'all. 2000, it's probably 2000, more 2000. It's definitely 99, 2000 because Nate and Duran are in this picture, and
I
they
can't believe
graduated while
you
freshman
pulled
year.
this up. This is
This is what I'm talking about, everybody. How she was dressed. Like this was this was another level. Like this is another level. We wasn't ready for this. We were still bombs.
so my favorite thing to do actually was um to challenge myself to like make something super creative for the night of, right? So I would literally be like, okay, I got some fabric, I got an idea. it's a party tonight. So how can I like make something within the next 3 hours that I could put on tonight and wear it and like, wow, just be, like I said, fully expressed and like show up and like shut it down. So like I used to do that. That was like a challenge that I did basically for years.
No,
Was
no, every
consistent.
time. I remember the dopest one you had on though. I was trying to find a picture. We do have it somewhere. I've been trying to find it. I got it somewhere on some floppy disk. That's the bad part. It's on a
A
floppy disk.
floppy disk. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I know that's how old we are. I got on a floppy disk somewhere. But it was like a peacock type of dress thing. And I was like, ain't this about a bitch? And I got on a white tee with a chain on, looking like I'm one of the young gunners.
Well, what's crazy is so another thing I was really obsessed with is making clothes, but also reconstructing clothes. So it's funny how fashion comes around full circle, right? Like right now we're in a season where reconstructing, upcycling is what they call it now, but reconstructing or taking something old and really like tearing the sleeves off, putting some new sleeves on, making it new is really uptrending right now, right? Like, if you have a thrift store or you're in the thrift business or you're in like a resale business, then that's like uptrending, I want to say 30% within the next 2 years. So your
Really?
business is about to be popping. Let me just give y'all that fashion forecasting tip.
So me wearing the Captain Save-A-Ho outfit is trending. I'm going to be ahead of the game then. So we see brothers wearing this
I
out.
can confirm that. I'm not gonna confirm that part. But if you are what's called upcycling,
I am upcycling.
no, I mean like if you are taking something old, cutting it up.
Oh,
Making it new,
it's not like dressing old.
Mhm.
It's like actually
Yeah,
taking older things and then combining them together. Got you.
exactly, right. So
So
I
if I
used to
take the Captain
love
Save-A-Ho hoodie, cut off the sleeves, and then
exactly.
add like some green sleeves instead of the blue or something, then I'd be upselling.
That's what you would be doing, upcycling. Yep,
Upcycling.
and
Okay.
that is popping, right?
Maybe
So
I
like,
do
let's
that then.
say
Maybe I do that.
yeah, the hoodie. Listen, let me tell you. Take the hoodie and put like a windbreaker sleeve on it, right? So change up the fabric, change up the color, and just create something new off of something that's old is what I used to love to do. So like literally, when you start talking about those fur coats, I was like like a vulture, like literally, like how can I go to a resale store, how can I find a mink here, how can I go find this fur coat, this leather thing, cut it up, put some jeans on, some leather and jeans together. Like I was consistently overloaded with creativity and I just did not have anywhere else to put it but into fashion. Like fashion became one of my creative outlets because I also used to write and do
Yeah,
poetry
yeah. Y'all know you did the
work as
poetry and
well.
stuff.
That
Yeah. We was on the
I
same
knew
poetry slam one night
that.
at the M shop.
Yes, yes. But I was like just basically busting at the seams with creativity and looking for a place for it to land. And that really became my, really fed and I would say my love for fashion, which led me to going to Iowa State. I majored in business, but my focus was in apparel design, merchandising, and production.
I didn't know you
So
mentioned business. I thought you were strictly in the design, fashion, and design. So I didn't know you did the business side first. I didn't know that was your major.
because nobody cared about it, I didn't even care about it for real.
Oh,
Not at,
no, I know.
not
No,
at
because
that
I
time.
just assumed you were over there because I just assumed that.
Yeah, no, I did a dual major in entrepreneurial studies. So yeah, I was focused on business, but I spent most of my time in the fashion world because I was trying to basically, how we were in college. Like I'm trying to prove myself. I'm trying to
Mm-hmm.
figure out who I'm going to be as a designer. And like I said, I'm busting at the seams. So I'm literally trying to like make something every 5 minutes. Every idea I'm trying to get out and get my sewing machine together. But I definitely was that girl that had her sewing machine in her dorm
That's what
room.
I was just gonna say that she had a sewing machine in the dorm room, man.
And like literally, I had so many, like just, I was that girl. I was the girl with
Because you
shoes.
did move on the west side sophomore year, though, right?
I did.
That's what I
Yep.
said. That's what I knew I seen the sewing machine in your room before. I was like, that wasn't over at Maple.
Yeah, no, when I moved over over on the west side, then I had a sewing machine. I had everything that I needed in order to create. So I was basically doing that most of the time. So that's how I got into fashion. And then after college, I mean, you know that I was very, trying to do fashion shows at every year.
You did a fashion
Anytime.
show at school. Do you
No,
remember?
I
You remember you did it during the
did.
NESB conference.
I do, yes.
I
So I
got that on tape somewhere too on the low.
don't show that right now. Don't
It's
show that
it's
right.
on DV cam. I can't get it off. It's on one of the old big tapes.
Really?
Yeah, because me and
would
Boogie
love
recorded it. Because remember I had the TV show at school, and
I
that's what
do.
I recorded the fashion show.
Now, literally, when I tell you, like my hustle on that campus, like anybody that was having a show, I was talking them into letting me have my own segment in their show. Like, how can I be? I remember because sometimes I would have like athletes. I remember Jamal Tinsley was like one of my
Shout out to
models
JT
one
Money. I'm trying to
time.
get him on the podcast soon. That's gonna be hilarious.
Yes, I had him. He came and was helping with one of my fashion shows because he was from New York, so he was
Yeah,
like,
he got it.
"You out here making clothes and doing fashion shows?" I'm like, "Yeah, why don't you be one of my models?" Like, I literally was like trying to pull people in. I'm like, "Why don't y'all do this? Help me with this. Let me be a part of y'all show." So I was literally trying to like get on any stage I could get on in order to like make this thing happen. So yes, I was trying to do segments in everybody's show.
So after Iowa State, you was like, "Yo, I'm going to New York. Like, I'm going straight to the NYC." Because you went straight out there, like, because I was out. Because did you graduate the year after me, or did you come out in 03?
I came out the year after you
Yeah,
because
because I'd already been out there for a year and then left when you came out there.
yes. So what happened was, and I don't know if anyone knew this, but I actually took a year off of school.
I did
And
not know that.
you didn't? I
No.
did. I took a year off of school. I was working, doing an internship for here in the Dallas Fort Worth area for Neiman Marcus. And then I went to New York and I was working for Sean John.
Right.
And
I
so
remember that.
out
Yeah.
there doing that internship, and then I came back to school the next year after that summer of living out here. I came back to school, got my degree. And so that's why I was behind you guys, because I had taken a year off, came to New York. I was trying to get experience. I was trying to clarify if I wanted to do styling, if I wanted to do merchandising, like what exactly I wanted to do. And yeah, it was a great year. That's what I was.
Yeah.
I
No.
don't want to say a great year. It wasn't a great year emotionally. I was kind of like all over the place. So I had a bunch of family stuff happening, but it was a good year of discovery, right? Of like really clarifying like where I wanted to go next. And I was willing to like step away from my friends and like the class in order to like figure out what I wanted to do next. So I took a year off. So I was actually a year behind you guys.
Okay. Because I don't remember, because I don't remember you graduating with us. I'm like, damn, man. But I knew you were with us, and then I knew when I was out in New York for the 2 years for school that I knew that Nate was like, yeah, Nicole was coming out here now. I was like, oh shit, okay, well damn, I'm leaving. Shit.
Yep, that's how it happened, because I came out there, then went back to school, finished my degree. In fact, that was one of the most difficult, not most difficult decisions, but a very difficult decision, because I got a job offer at the end of my internship. But I have spent so much time and energy and money
You gotta
in
get it done.
that I was like, I can't just start my career now and not get my degree. So I made the decision, which was a super hard decision, because remember, I'm like 6, 7 years old dreaming about being in New York. And now I got an opportunity and a job. And what I really want to be doing is here. And you telling me you want me to go back to Iowa State and finish my degree? Like, what? but But I did it, and I came back to Iowa State, finished my degree, and then moved back to New York after that. So
Yeah, because
that's how
the thing is, people understand, especially at that time, New York is different now than in the early 2000s. Because I don't even know if you know, I worked for Vibe magazine between junior year and senior year. Remember, I worked
I
for
do
Vibe that
remember.
summer. And
Well,
you
wait
get,
a minute. I didn't know you were still in school though. I thought you were working for Vibe.
no, that was before I had an internship with them first.
Oh, okay. Got it.
And so you got to, so you get the taste of that for a summer, and you like, man, you know what? So I relate 100% to what
You
and
feel
I only
me?
had 3 months. You did a whole year of that. I'm like, yo, I mean, I already know how to write. I already got awards and shit. What is they gonna do for me left? And then my grandma was like, you coming when you coming back home? I was like, all right, well, I guess.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough,
Yeah.
especially when you get when you get the opportunity, because New York, navigating New York, as you know, is really about who you know. And
Mm-hmm.
being in New York alone, especially during that time, not right now, but being in the right place, really lends itself to you getting your next opportunity, right? So when you leave the mix, then you're not in the mix and you're not in the
But
conversation
now it's
where
totally different. Then you needed
exactly.
to be in New York. Like I wanted to be a writer at the Source at Vibe. Like I needed to be there. Like I needed to be there.
Absolutely. And then you meet someone where you're working at this job and literally it lends itself to your next opportunity. So, just that FOMO of like that fear of missing out, like I got to go back to where and do what and do like accounting schoolwork, and I get to or live my dream. So it was definitely a super hard decision at that time. I would say probably one of the most pivotal decisions that I made at that time, because it was very difficult for me to choose school over my career. But, I did it and I came back and graduated.
Do you
Yep.
feel better for it on the back end? Like looking back, like that was that the best decision you feel like, or do you think that 1 year hampered you, or are you still conflicted with it? Because I'm still conflicted with it. I'm not gonna
I,
front.
I am too. This is what I would say. I would say that I don't think that the year itself per se really hurt me, but the idea of if college was worth it for me
Hmm.
is still very conflicting, right? Just the amount of money that I paid back in loans and the amount of money that I ended up paying for my education. I don't know that until I got into super corporate, nobody was really checking for that degree for the first 10 years of my career. Or maybe 8 years of my career. Like literally they're like, oh, okay, you got a degree. Great. That's nice to have. But can you do this work? Like, can you design? Can you lead a team? It was all about showing up and proving that you could actually do the job. It wasn't one of those industries where it's like, no, you have to have a degree in order to enter this next level of success. The fashion industry at that time wasn't really like that. It was more about your creativity and your ability to execute, right? Your ability to command creativity on demand, right? Like
Yeah.
you bring it when we need you to bring it, kind of thing. Um, and then do you have all of the technology and all of the skills that you need? But those skills could really be obtained through the job, through the learning and the experience. So sometimes I do look back and I'm like, you spent a lot of money on a degree that you really didn't use for majority of your career. But then another part of me, really, if I'm super duper honest, I would say that another part of me acknowledges that I wasn't ready to go to New York at 18. So,
Hmm.
well, I'm a little younger. So I was 17 when I graduated. And so literally I just was literally just turning 18 and, as a freshman, so I wasn't ready for that. You know what I mean? It was just, it's too many elements. It's too much stimulation in New York for me at that young age. So I feel like it was very purposeful and, it was very I want to say a growth opportunity for me to transition from high school to college to being in New York, because it was a lot. And I don't know that I would have been as successful going out there right away. So I'm torn. I feel like I had a good, college experience, met some great people like yourself. You know what I
I
mean?
mean, that's debatable. That's debatable. That's debatable. Me, that's debatable.
Okay.
Depends on who you talk to.
But you understand what I'm
Yeah, no,
saying.
I understand 100%
A
what you mean.
non-traditional field,
Yeah.
was it really worth it? Or, but in the grand scheme of my life, I probably needed that time to transition and be ready to walk into New York and really network, grind, and be successful,
Yeah, because
and
I
be
could have been a dude that went out there and then it was like a fail. Because the only reason I think it was a saving grace for me with going back to school was the idea that the journalism industry got all messed up right after that. So like everything, all the magazines was folding, getting melded into other ones. Time Warner was buying a lot of them, where they was just saying, okay, we only have like 10, 15 people on the staff here that came from 100 staff and a vibe. But the Time Warner bought it and said we only need 15 people over there. So now you got 85 people that are laid off. And the whole industry kept doing that, not just with the black magazines. It was magazines as a whole, Mademoiselle, all those different publications start melting down. So that I look back like, man, damn, it was good. I went back and got my degrees and everything. Like, it was good that I did,
Yeah, I mean, and I also the bitterness for me kind of came in because even after I graduated, it was still, and I like to be very transparent about this. In fact, when I had my nonprofit was really inspired by closing the gap that I experienced myself, right? So it was a gap between an information gap between what I learned in college and what I needed to know to actually get my real first job in the industry. So after college, I ended up having to intern to learn more specifically about tech packs, right? Because there are certain nuances and things about the fashion industry, technical terms, this, that, this, and that. When you're dealing with like right now, for instance, I'm working with, brands that are doing, about $900 million in sales, right? So yes, I'm at that particular time coming straight out of high school, I was an assistant, but there are certain things that I needed to know about the industry that I didn't learn at Iowa State. And it was an information gap. I didn't come out with, with a cushy job. In fact, I moved to New York and I actually really struggled. I stayed with a family friend who ended up getting into a situation, and I ended up homeless in New York for about a couple months. Where I had to figure it out, you know what I mean, kind of thing. And work for free, sleep on some couches, and then finally landed my first role. And then I've kind of been on my journey since then, but there was an information gap. So when I think about college and I think about if it really benefited or didn't benefit my career, I would say I'm still on the fence about that.
Or do you think it's different for, I guess, people that's younger now with that information gap than us because they have so much access to information? Do you think it's a difference? Like a kid now, their information gap is probably smaller, I'm assuming.
I would say it's smaller. However, for me personally, and this is, like I said, when I started my nonprofit, it was specifically for students that wanted to pursue creative industries as a career, right? And I recognize that coming from Iowa State, coming from Iowa, that I had just as much talent, but I wasn't positioned in the same way for success as a person coming from LA, right? Person coming from LA, may have known somebody that knows somebody that went to FIT, and FIT, you are an alumni amongst, with like Donna Karen and people that are in the industry that are really making noise. At that time, I didn't know anybody that had done what I wanted to do. I didn't know anybody to follow their footsteps and say, this is the next thing I needed to do. I was just figuring shit out. You know what I mean? So trying to figure it out and also not really knowing what I needed to know. Like I had a mentor, Willie Esco was actually my mentor. I don't know if
you man, I need to, you need to, I need to holler him for my 4-year photo shoot thing. It's this Willie Esco jacket. I know when I see it, it's North Carolina blue. It's got Esco on the back and then Esco on the front. I remember it being in the Source. Look, as anybody knows, I have every Source magazine from 93 to 2001. And I remember what page it was on, page 77 of 1997 April issue. It's a Willie Esco joint. And I was like, oh, I gotta have that.
Well, that definitely was his heyday, and I'll tell you that story another time. How I
Yeah.
actually met him and enrolled him in being my intern. I mean, in being my mentor. But outside of it, and he was really the person that really helped me fill the gap. Like, okay, study this template and learn all of the, like I knew. Again, I'm not trying to say that Iowa State didn't have a good program. They did. They just had a great program for a startup designer that was designing everything themselves, right? We were doing patterns. And again, I don't want to get too technical because I don't
Yeah.
know if your audience really care about
I mean,
that.
no, some people do. Some people do. You
Yeah.
never know. So drop the juice for people that do care. To go and drop enough
So
for the people that do care.
they were really taking us on a journey of, now looking back in retrospect, they were taking us on a journey of being like a small couture house, right? Like Paris, where you have this small brand, you're really in the room, drawing it up, making patterns and like sewing it up. You got a seamstress right here that's sewing it up and you're taking it to the runway, right? So they really trained us on that. But for mass production at that time, they didn't have tech pack templates. They didn't really know. They weren't teaching tech packs. They weren't teaching
So no
Adobe
streamlining. So it's
Illustrator.
basically streamlining everything.
Exactly. They weren't teaching what the mass production companies that were doing, like what I work for and I consult for now. They weren't teaching that process. So even though I had a cool portfolio, I knew how to sew, I knew how to draw, I didn't know how to draw in Adobe Illustrator. I didn't know how to draw on the computer to
Mm.
the point that I could draw out, this jacket with every little small detail and every little flower or whatever. I didn't know how to do that because I didn't learn that at school. I could draw this up with some pencils, but at the end of the day, a big company was like, okay, what are we gonna do with that? We need this to be, you know, in a document that we can actually send to a factory. So there was an information gap for me, I would say. And even though I worked for Sean John and even though I had some good experience, I still had some really key things that I needed to learn. And that created a gap of time that I really struggled when I was trying, but I was really committed and, just determined to stay in New York and figure it out. So I ended up on the homeless for a couple months trying to figure it out.
What?
You
How
know what
did
I'm
you tell
saying?
your brother this?
Oh, he was so mad.
Because I know how
We
your
don't
brother is.
we don't even talk about that time in my
Oh,
life.
really?
We don't talk about that. Like he's so mad. But this is what I will say. I'm a spiritually motivated, purposefully driven person, right? And I feel like there's
And that was
some
another thing. No, we weren't ready for that either.
right, like
No, I'm telling you, I'm talking in college. I was trying to be the young gun. I was trying to be in Rockefeller. At the time, I had my white tee on. I had my chains. I had a nice long leather trench coat. That was my living. That was our living.
so what? Wait a minute. What was I trying to be in college? You told me
Look,
I
you
was
was
trying
on
to
some
be
other
like
stuff though, man. You was on some other stuff that I wouldn't like. Look, man, I was like, I got time to be that serious. Come on, man. What these
yeah.
throwback and throwback jerseys was after us. I was like, at that time, I'm trying to think. I was like, man, where my Tommy coat at? My Tommy vest. I'm wearing this with my Tommy sweatpants with my right leg up on my sweatpants like that. I was like, what do you mean spirituality? What you talking about?
Well, this is what I will say about that time. Like, did my brother? No, of course he didn't. He's an older brother that's protective. Of course, he hated my father, my parents hated the fact that I was in New York and they felt like I was just being stubborn and didn't want to come back. But for me, it was sometimes we get in situations, difficult situations or unfortunate situations, and it really, God puts us in those positions to really show us what we're made of, like
Mm-hmm.
what kind of strength you really have in you. And so for me, I knew that was a season of my life that I needed to trust God. And I feel like sometimes we are like you can't read about that. Like my faith and my relationship, I didn't get it through a book. Like I didn't get it through somebody like telling me their experience and inspiring me. I got it on the streets of New York, like where God was like, no, I'm going to protect you. Nobody's going to touch you. You're not going to get in trouble. And I'm going to lead you to the way step by step of where you need to go. So for me, I don't regret it. I just know that it was a gap. And so for me, I was like, how can I fill the gap and support other people that are trying to make that transition from like a place like Iowa to a big place like New York that don't have all the resources. They're geographically challenged, right? You're in a place that you just don't have the access that a person in New York or LA or Chicago or some other places, they have way more access and they're just positioned better than you. So like, how can I give those people a leg up? And that really inspired me to start a nonprofit around it.
That's good. I was just going to ask. I was just asking how the nonprofit. That's why I was like, design her life.
Yeah, well, the Design Her Life is actually a for-profit, but the nonprofit was where I started to do retreats, right?
Okay, so Design Her Life is not the non. I thought that was all the same thing. My bad. Okay.
No,
Break it down.
It kind of worked and it's evolved and pivoted into the business, but I initially started it as a nonprofit, right? And so the nonprofit was to fill that gap. It was really to serve on a personal development, spiritual development. How can I give wellness back to my community? And how can I give them access to basically how can I help who I was feel the gap between what I like, how can I fulfill what I needed for the person that was who I was, right? Like, how can I like connect them to resources, connect them to, industry experiences, real life experiences, but also do it in a holistic way. So I started doing retreats at that time for girls, for high school girls. And then I evolved it into doing personal development international retreats for women, right? So we were traveling. That's what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to go. That's what I was trying to go.
It started.
I paid my own way, pay my own hotel, pay my own food. Y'all ain't got to do that for me. Just let me just show up. Oh, y'all here. Oh, what's y'all doing? I do personal development too. I meditate every morning. What y'all doing at 7 a.m? I'm up early.
Well, that's right. That's what we were doing, right? So it evolved from girls to years later, to a couple years later, it being women, right? And so really focusing on women, because what I realized also is that, a lot of times, especially as a Black woman, I sit at the intersection of a culture that is motivated and driven by or infected, I'll say, by a level of racism and sexism. And I sit at the intersection of that.
And put capitalism in there too, just
and capitalism, right? So with that being said, there's this unique experience, and we're affected by that. Like, there are plenty of women that are like, I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if that's possible for me. And so I was really, really connected. And I experienced that myself a lot, so I was just like, this is my journey. How can I feel, this is what I'll say. I'm a person that's, when I say purposefully motivated or purposefully driven, it's like, I don't feel like I go through anything for nothing. If I have a struggle, then I feel like it's directly connected to the contribution that I'm supposed to be giving to the world. So if I'm going through it like this, you know what I'm saying? Then I feel like I'm learning something in this process to then contribute back to the world in a way. So that's how the nonprofit came into fold. That's how it evolved into this personal development retreat. And that's how it evolved into where Design Her Life is now. Now I am an online entrepreneur, and I'm bringing all of that fashion experience, that, that branding experience, that business experience into supporting online entrepreneurs, because I know, again, that my journey is connected to my contribution. So
when you gonna start designing clothes again? Can you design me the Captain Save a whole outfit? But in the new, what you call it, the face forward, what was it, the face backward, what you call it?
The upcycle.
The upcycle. There we go. Within the upcycle look.
Well, okay. So from a career perspective, so the nonprofit and the business, that was on one end, but I still always have been in the fashion industry for
I know you've been designing stuff on the low. That itch don't stop just because you ain't necessarily doing it on that level. I know it don't stop.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. So when I moved to New York, got in the industry, then I was doing both of these things simultaneously, right? Like I had my business and I had my nonprofit, but then I also had a career in the fashion industry. So styling, doing brand work, brand consulting, designing, technical design, creative design, all of those things. And now 15 years later, I am on the trend forecasting side. And like you said, I work for a little division that's under the umbrella of Hanes, and we do fashion and trend forecasting for a variety of brands, international and national brands that are out there that's in the stores right now that you probably have in your closet and you don't know. So yeah, so I'm doing that, and then I also have my business, which is Design Her Life. So both of those have been happening throughout since I left college.
All right, I got some fashion questions for you. Then we'll go into the
Okay.
lightning round where I ask, it's called this or that. At least I'm calling it that for right now, but then I found out Jamel Hill's doing it too, but I'm gonna call it that for right now. But anyway, what do you think about the way fashion is currently now? And do you think the proliferation of, and this is my opinion, a whole bunch of boutiques are good or bad for the industry? Like I see like
Okay.
50 million. Maybe this is because I'm on Instagram and I'm marketing stuff for the podcast, stuff like that. And I'm like, damn, it's a lot of boutiques.
It is a lot of boutiques. I think that that's a huge ass question.
Okay.
Wait, so where things are right now. So what do you mean when you say where things are
Like
right
so,
now?
like I mean, is basically, are we going to always just see the same things over and over again, like you said currently? Like, where is this going to be kind of a remix of something else? Like, or is my velour, my Sean John velour sweatsuit going to come back in? Is it okay that I kept it?
Yes. So fashion is always operating in cycles. It is always going to come back in one form or another, right? So that's one of the reasons why I was really heavy in like upcycling,
Mm-hmm.
resale, thrift, vintage world, right? Because for me personally, I was such a great shopper and I could buy it at a fraction of the cost, and it had a uniqueness to it that you can't get, right? So these puff sleeves are back in right now, but
Oh,
the
the
puff
shoulder pads
sleeves,
coming back.
right, shoulder pads came back,
Oh, they
right?
did? So shoulder pads are back?
Shoulder pads definitely made a little peak uptrend for the summer for sure. That was something that was happening like in the 90s. So
Mm-hmm.
fashion is always going to go in a cycle. It's always going to come back, but it's going to emerge itself in a very different way. So it's up to you to then, if you have something that came back, because velour definitely came back.
So I can
And
bring
it
it back
will
out this
come back
summer then. I
again.
can bring it back out this summer.
Well, you should have it out right now,
Oh,
actually,
so I can
because
wear it right now. So if I wear it out right now, okay. All right. I'm back. I'm back. All right.
yeah,
I
you
got a
can bring it
couple of
out right
velour
now. That's
outfits.
velour is nice and plushy. That's like a good fall material.
It always felt good to me. People, I
You
was
could bring
mad it
it out
went out
right
of
now.
style. Okay. All right.
Yeah, so you could bring it out. So it's always going to be a cycle. Yes, that the answer to that question is yes. The other thing that's happening, I would say, in the fashion industry right now that I don't think is the best is this thing that's called fast fashion. Have you ever heard of fast fashion?
Have no idea. Look, you see, I'm
Okay,
wearing
so
a thermal t-shirt right now. That's where I'm at.
basically you keep sending me the message like I don't care about fashion for real. Like,
No, 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 no. I do. I'm trying to get my fashion game up.
oh,
I'm not
okay.
saying no. I'm saying I'm GD. So you got to talk to me as like a child. That's what I'm saying. Like you can't just be like, if you do this, do this. Like, no, 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 no. Break it down for me as a layman term, below layman terms, because I'm not good at fashion.
Got it. Okay, so I would say that fast
Every woman
fashion
I've
for
ever
me,
been with has dressed me.
that's a good thing though. I like to dress my men, so I feel like it's a good thing. So that's fine. But I would say that fast fashion, and I don't want to go like too deep into this question because I
Mm-hmm.
could get really excited about these answers.
No, no, no.
But I
Get
would say
excited.
that
This is stuff that people want to know, though.
I would say that fast fashion is probably not the best thing for us. For fast fashion is okay, so it was a shift, right? It was a shift in the fashion industry where it shifted from delivering 2 seasons, fall and spring,
Okay.
to 4 seasons, which is winter, fall, spring, and summer, to about 26 seasons.
26 seasons.
26 seasons. So
How,
right now we're
hold on, 20,
in,
it's only 52 weeks in a year or something like that.
so it's about 26, 20, yeah,
So
about
every
26.
2 weeks there's a new fashion out, basically.
Yes, that's the definition of fast fashion. So, have you ever thought like, dang, every time I go to this store, they got new stuff. Every
Yeah.
time I go here, they got new stuff. That is the definition of fast fashion. So there's a trend that's been happening for the last couple of years. You really saw it in like the Forever 21s, the H&Ms, the Zaras of the world. In fact, Zara is the number one in fast fashion, meaning that they can literally see something as inspiration on the runway. They can redesign it, create a tech pack, send it to production, and have it in the store within less than 2 weeks, or about 2 weeks.
Hold on. So they can go to a thing in Milan, some fashion show in Milan or Italy or something like that. Somebody goes there and they can recreate that in 2 weeks and have it in stores
Have it in stores. So
in
they've
2 weeks.
mastered it to a place that they are the quickest, what we call quickest to market retailer that's in the industry, period. And the way that they can do that is because they have all of the elements themselves, right? So they have the inspiration, the forecaster like me, they have a designer like what I used to be, they have a technical designer, these are all in-house, and then they have a factory that they control, and then they have a store so they can ship it to the store and get it to the store right away. So they have expedited the process so quick that they could go from inspiration to market so fast. And that is the epitome, like the highest level of what is called fast fashion. Now,
So was the quality of those clothes up to par? Is it on a Forever 21 style? Are we saying rainbow? Like, I mean, like, where we on the scale?
that's the question. That's the
Wow,
question,
really? Okay. Like,
right?
what is
That
the
is the
quality?
So so this is the reason why sometimes in terms of Zara, I'm gonna keep going with them as the example. They have different fits for different things. Sometimes you go in and you like, this large look crazy. This arm don't fit. This don't fit. They will sacrifice fit in order to get it to market quicker. They will sacrifice value or quality in order to get it to market quicker. So as long as the fabric looks good, it doesn't always have to be good, right? So now what you're seeing with fast fashion is a downgrade in the quality of the clothes that we're getting, so that you could just get more people, more things to people, and have them spend more money. So right now there are more people spending money on fashion because of FOMO, or like that fear of missing out. More people, not now, this is before COVID and all of
No.
yeah,
I hope people understand that
because that's
this
a
is,
whole nother
yeah,
different
this is a,
pivot.
this is, that's a, the COVID's a one-off.
Yeah, so you have more people now spending money on clothes, but you have less quality, and the clothes don't last you as long. So basically, people right now, society is in a cycle of buying more, and the quality is not there, but the styling is there. So then it basically ends up in landfills, and it contributes to destroying our planet.
Damn, because they're producing. No. That's some real shit. So basically, we're producing more of this because it's like, yo, but like you said 26 seasons. So you said every 2 weeks it's a new something in new and Zara. Like, so what are these different companies doing with those other like? Are those other clothes just getting thrown out? Are they giving them to homeless at least or something? Is Stacy that's up under the bridge? Is she got a nice dress at least to make herself feel good minimum?
I mean, so this is a whole, like I said, this is a big question. But what I will say is that I don't think that it's not good for fashion. I don't think it's good for originality. It's good for quality. It's good for our planet, or it's good for consumer habits. Talk about capitalism. There are more people buying unnecessary bull crap that they don't need, and that this is not going to last them, and it's going to end up basically in somebody's landfill. So I don't think that trend is a good trend for society. That's what I'll say. So in terms of the big question that you asked of like what's happening in fashion and what do I think about it, that's kind of what I think about it. I would say that COVID actually did us a favor because people basically stopped buying as much.
Oh, so you
So
said it actually reset the button, hit the reset button.
it kind of did. So now you have more people that are upcycling, and that's the reason why the thrift stores, the resale stores, all of those stores are going to uptrend within the next 30, about 30% in the next couple of years, because people are really seeking more individuality. Like, now I'm at home a lot more. How can I dye something at my house and make my own tie-dye print? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can
Mm.
I take these sleeves off and make my own, which is actually really like injecting this level of creativity and originality back in the industry. And so it's not so cookie cutter Zara 21 or Forever 21, rainbow kind of thing. It's like, now I think that people are, hopefully it's bringing a level of originality to inspire
It
people.
reset. It reset everything though. The reset. The
Yeah,
COVID reset the
yeah.
button with all the industries. And it's interesting you saying that with fashion because I've been trying to figure that out though. But the boutique thing though, like you gotta like I don't like it's getting overloaded to me. So
Well,
and maybe I'm just more sensitive to it because I'm just more researching, looking at certain stuff. But it
well,
could be open though. I mean, I don't know.
the reason why you're seeing so many things back to back, right? You're
Mhm.
seeing so many boutiques that are popping up is because of COVID, first of all, but also because COVID is just exposing a trend that was already happening, right? And it's funny that we're having, because I'm like a trend forecaster, but we
Yeah,
talk
no, no,
about
no. Let's.
trends
I
that are
like. I like
happening in
this.
a
Yeah,
variety of
this is
different
smart stuff.
things.
People are gonna love this smart shit. You know what I'm saying?
So I would say that it's really just accelerating what was already happening, right? So people were trying to get online. Think about me. Was going from a person that was delivering Lux retreats internationally, so going
Mhm.
to islands and doing personal development experience, curated experiences, to now I can't travel, and now I have a business that's purely digital, and I can meet them in person if I want to, or I can meet them on a Zoom call, right? And that enabled me to keep my business going. So you have to think about, there's a shift that's happening across the board even before COVID, where people are shopping more online. So now you're going to see less in-person boutiques in wherever. You're going to see them online. So you're going, and since we're all and they're all online and we're all online, then you're just automatically going to see more. But the thing is that it was this many boutiques that were out there all along. They were just in the individual cities, and you just didn't see them. You
Mm.
see what I'm saying? So they were always there.
Wait, is
The
it worth
thing
a
about
worth?
it
Is
is
it
that,
worth a brick and mortar boutique now, or brick and mortar business for? Because I mean, I've talked to women about this in general, and a lot of them would say, well, women like to be able to touch their clothes, feel them, and be in an experience with it. But is it really worth it financially to have a brick and mortar business now for a boutique for women's clothing?
um,
No, no, I know that's super. I know it's super antiquated, super.
no. It's not. I let me just say, this is my opinion. This is not like, I'm not like, if you have a brick and mortar, um, this is, I'm not trying to give you a
No, I mean, I've
strategy.
talked to women that went to open a brick and mortar. This is before COVID. And I was like, why? Like, yo, like, because I consult people on the marketing side, like, yo, how to market yourself. And I'm like, yo, like, why would you even want to have a brick? Well, I can have them with champagne. Like, you're doing a whole bunch of stuff though for no reason, like to just taking money out your pocket for no reason, just to say you have boutique.
That's true. However, what they're describing and what the differentiating factor that has to be there now, not just for smaller boutiques, but for even larger, Macy's of the world, Bloomingdale's of the world, is all about experience, right?
Okay.
People won't come in just to buy a shirt. I could buy a shirt on Amazon and I can get it the next day.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not giving me a unique experience to come to your place, whether that's a virtual experience or that's an in-person experience, you're not giving me an experience. What is the differentiating factor? Especially because right now online, people are buying from the same places and the same people are buying. In fact, this is really giving me an idea for a program, but people are buying from the same sources. So a lot of the
No, no,
things
I've
that
seen that
online
too, though. I've
boutique,
seen that. I've seen
they
that.
got the
Yeah.
same stuff. You know what I'm saying?
But you just
They got the
rebranding it
same
for your
shirt.
boutique, Chris's
Exactly.
boutique, but it's the same stuff that's on, Janae's boutique,
Exactly. So what is the differentiating factor?
it's
What
experience.
is it has to be experienced. So that's an interesting question. What I would say if I was coaching a person that was like, hey, I want to open, if there's somebody listening and I was trying to give them strategy, what I would say is make sure that your experience online is awesome. And then it's a differentiating factor, maybe. So maybe instead of giving them champagne, every person that buys from you gets a little set of chocolates, or they get something special, or they do, what is it that's going to, like, a little bit that you can do and you can spend to make that experience a bit better? How can you make their virtual experience better? How can you allow them to see themselves in the clothes or try something on? Like right now, you're going to see an uptrend when it comes to like 3D, when it comes to like trying things on virtually. Like right now, you're seeing some glasses brands that are basically like, okay, put your face in the camera and the glasses will pop onto you. So you really
Hey.
want to think about experience, right? That's really important. And then I would say personally that I would create, instead of creating a brick and mortar, I would create some in-person experiences as well, right? So more like the industry was moving more towards, instead of doing like just monthly rents in the same place over and
Mm-hmm.
over, they were doing like pop-up shops, right? Where, okay, we're
I
going to
think
be
that's the
here
best way to
for 2
do it.
months.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Instead of 2 years, we're going to be here for 2 months kind of thing. The problem with that is that you have a lot of that happening in the cities. You don't have that happening anywhere in Iowa, right? So like in Iowa, the real estate industry is not really going, they would rather their store sit, doesn't make sense to me, but they would rather their store sit empty than to have someone in it for a couple months, because they're looking for that long-term contract when the industry is, in terms of brick and mortar, is changing, and the real estate industry, commercial real estate
Mm-hmm.
industry has to change with it. So that's what I would say my answer to that question
So,
is.
so you're saying that, like, so you're basically saying for anybody. So, give out all your stuff. People want to get consultation real quick, for as we, before we go into the lightning round. I like to do it in the middle so that people can go ahead and hit you up, because that was all kind of good game you was giving out for people, and they want to get
Yeah, no,
consultation. Where do they hit you up at?
I'll tell them to come to my Instagram, hit me up in the DMs. We could schedule a consultation, or so go to Instagram, it's design.her.life. You can also come to my website, it's designherlife.co. But if you go to my Instagram, then there is a link for you to jump on my calendar and sign up for a consultation. Or like I said, I live a life of
I'm gonna jump on
contribution.
there. I'm gonna jump on there about this Captain Saverhole. You better respond.
I'm gonna jump on there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm just saying. Look. My birthday's February 16th. I just need to have I already got the photo shoot set up. It's 4 days, 4 different outfits.
Okay, got it.
So I'm just trying to. And I'm gonna put you on the spot with this. Where do you find the LL Cool J big floppy bucket hat?
Bucket hat.
You
So
know what I'm talking about, the big one from Around the Way Girl.
yeah, no, bucket hats really made a surge and an
But not the
uptrend. So
small ones. I'm
bucket
talking
hats
about
are
that
back.
big one, the big floppy one.
I don't know. You know what you need to do?
Mm-hmm.
You should probably look at some of these resale, like
Shops.
sneaker shops. You know what I'm saying? That do
Okay.
like really cool, like vintage, retro pieces. Doing something like that will really be helpful. And I
See,
think you
this is
probably
why
could
you
find
came
it.
on. This is why you came on. This is why you came
Yeah.
on. All right. This is our last segment. It's called This or That. I'm gonna give you 2 different topics. You tell me which one you messing with. All right.
Okay.
Cosby Show, different world.
Damn. Really? You going there?
That's the first one.
Damn. Okay, that's hard. I'm gonna go with Cosby Show.
All right. Well, is there a reason Cosby Show over a different world, or is it just you just chose?
I'm just choosing. I would say that Cosby Show just played, like, I love A Different World. I love it. I could, especially as an adult going through college, I feel like it was such a good message. But I feel like the Cosby Show was still such a foundational thing when I was a kid. Man, I mean, it was just like we used to sit and watch the Cosby Show as a family. Like it just connected to me as a kid, and I love it. I think when A Different World came out, it was a little before my time because I wasn't in college yet.
Yeah.
We're actually more closer to the age of Rudy. So I wasn't,
Right.
I was young, they were
Exactly.
young kind of
We
thing.
weren't Denise age.
Yeah, like I wasn't Denise's age. So like, even though it was cool and looking back on it, I was like, dang, this is a really good show. I wasn't connected to it when it actually came out because I couldn't really relate to it. I just aspired to do that. I could relate to the Cosby Show. So I would say Cosby.
All right. Coming to America or Harlem Nights?
Oh, Coming to America.
Okay.
No question. No question.
Okay, because you surprised many people like Harlem Nights more than Coming to America.
I do, but it's not me.
Okay.
Not me.
All right, Jay-Z or Nas?
Nas.
Okay, see, that's why I mess with you.
Yeah,
right.
Nas.
The self-explanatory.
Yeah.
All right, this is gonna be a pretty good one.
Okay.
All right, Shaft or Superfly or Dolomite. It's a triple threat match. You ain't seen none of them, have you?
Shaft.
Okay. Yeah. Shaft's good. All right. Boys in the Hood or Juice. Yeah, see that's all right. Your favorite villain in a movie.
Ooh, that's a stomp. You stomped my ass. I don't know. Let me see. My favorite villain in a movie. It would,
or it could be a book, TV show, any media.
I would say the villain that stands out like right away. This is gonna sound so, I don't even know the name of the movie, but it was Al Pacino in
You talking about in the joint with Keanu Reeves?
Yeah.
Devil.
Yeah.
You talking? I can't remember the name of it now. Devil's Advocate.
Like
yep.
That.
It is Devil's Advocate.
Yeah, it was something really compelling about that role that was like kind of dual purpose. Like it was like, dang, I don't know, something about that just popped up. The second one would be Spider-Man, but I don't know which Spider-Man one I really want to say, so I'm gonna go with the movie.
Okay. All right. Your favorite designer?
That is so hard. Oh my God.
It's just quick questions. It ain't.
That is so hard. I love so many designers.
Like, okay, let's. I'm gonna make it more specific. Your favorite Black designer?
My favorite Black designer would be.
You can even do eras if you want to. If you want to do like this era, that era, this era.
Well, I would say that I don't. I've been inspired by so many different.
Or you could just list the people you've been inspired by then to make it simple.
So I would definitely say I have to like shout out Willie Esco. I literally ran up on him in Las Vegas and
at the magic show.
At the magic show.
See, I know a little bit about the fashion on the business side. I don't know nothing about the design.
Yeah, like I literally snuck in the magic show. Wasn't supposed to be there.
Oh, really? You snuck in the magic show?
I did. I snuck in the magic show. Well, I snuck in because I had a friend that was a buyer. So I was faking like I was a buyer, but I was actually really looking for an opportunity. I was young. Mm-hmm. I was actually in college. And so I was go figure.
So this is when all the rap brands were up in there. This is when everybody, the Aqueminize, the Slim Shady brand, all that stuff was up in there. Well, exactly. What was the one that Eve had? Was it what was Eve's? Fetish. All those different lines. So you're saying like this is what the epitome of the hip hop lines.
Exactly. Beyonce's was there. Everybody's was there. Rockaware, FUBU, everybody was still there. So it was in college. I didn't think I was going to answer this question this way, but anyway, I flew out to I told you I was like on some like where my opportunity at?
Yeah.
I'm trying to get. So I flew out to Vegas and decided that I needed to meet somebody and needed to be connected to New York and give me an opportunity. And yeah, I ended up basically acting like I was a buyer, took my portfolio out there, started talking to somebody, and they introduced me to Willie Esco. Ended up in some room. They introduced me to Willie Esco. He happened to be there, showed in my portfolio, and I'm still in touch with Willie Esco to this day. Like he's literally helped me talk through whatever industry issue that I've had in the industry. He has been there to support me, and it was never like, oh, I'm trying to take advantage of this girl, I'm trying to sleep with her. Like it was never like that. Like it was really like he had a heart for helping designers. So I'm gonna say my favorite designer is Willie Esco.
Hey, shout out to Willie Esco. Man,
Yeah,
that's
that's
one.
my favorite designer.
All
Yeah.
right, this was another hard one. This is your blackness is involved. Your
Okay.
favorite Denzel Washington movie?
That's a hard question because I love Denzel Washington. I would say I know all his movies, but I don't know how to pick one. I would say I gotta do a couple. I'm gonna say that I like Crimson Tide. I
Mm.
like John Q. I like um I like a lot. I like The Siege. I'm naming stuff people probably like, I don't even know what
No,
that
I mean,
means.
yeah, no,
What's
these
in
are
that?
good movies. These are all good movies. I'm surprised. Yeah, this is.
I like a ton of them. I like almost all of Denzel Washington's movies with the exception of maybe two or three. I like I would say Antoine Fisher, but I didn't really Antoine Fisher was just okay. I'm gonna stick with the ones I got.
And he's really
I,
not the star that he kind of was. He was the director and just kind of popped up. He wasn't. It's not his movie like that. I feel.
And you know what I could watch any day of the week? If it comes on, I'm probably gonna watch it. Is I can't even think of the name of it. Dang, this is embarrassing. It's a football movie on from
Oh, remember the
Disney.
Titans?
Remember the Titans. Remember the Titans. I could watch it any day of the week. Like if it's on, I'm gonna sit down and finish it. So that would probably be one of my favorites. Yeah. But
All
dang,
right.
it's so many. Like I like
You
The
know, you listen a good
Equalizer.
amount. That's a good amount.
Yeah, it's so
Have you
many.
seen the movie his son's coming out with Zendaya?
I have not.
Claudia, was it Claude and Marie? I forgot what it's called, but it's on Netflix. It's just them two, black and white, and just them going through their relationship in
I
one
have not
house.
seen it, but I'm really. This is what I will say, that I'm really impressed with Denzel Washington's son,
Yeah, John
right? And
David is
I'm not
dope.
surprised, right? I'm not surprised, but he's really crafting and creating a lane for himself that's not in the shadow of his huge, amazingly talented father. And that in itself is super impressive to me
Yeah,
because
so
I
like
respect
I always have
him.
respect for that dude because he came to one of my parties. He used to play for the Rams for a while, and
Mm.
he came to one of my parties, and we wasn't letting him in, and he didn't stunt none, no like yo blah blah blah. He was like, all right, no, I was chilling, wait. Like he wasn't even. He did not. I didn't even know who it was. Somebody else had to come in like, yo, that's John David Washington. I'm like, who? Like no, this is like 08, 09. I'm like who? He's like Denzel's son. Like oh. Dang, but he was cool. I came over, was like, yo, my bad. He's like, no, you good, man. You doing you doing your thing. Like, so I've always had respect for him. That's before he was even acting. That's when he's playing for the Rams. And like, always had respect for him.
I like his acting,
Yeah,
and
he's good.
I don't think about Denzel when
Yes, you
I'm
do.
watching.
He sounds like his daddy. If you sit there and listen, he
Oh,
sounds like a younger version of his daddy.
he, he
Yes, he does.
I gotta go back and watch.
Especially in Black Klansman, especially in Black Klansman.
In Black Klansman, yes, but when he was on, what is the show that he was on with The
Ballers.
Rock? When he was
Ballers.
on Ballers, I didn't think about his dad at all. Now he didn't
Yeah.
have that much of a compelling role, but I think that he has the luxury that maybe some actors don't have because of his pedigree to pick some interesting roles.
Because he don't need
And so,
it.
huh?
Because he don't need it.
Because exactly, right? So I feel like whereas some roles people just take for the sake of taking them because they need the opportunity, they need to check whatever to get their career going. I feel like he's kind of curating this path for himself that I actually really like. I
Yeah,
like
no, I
it.
agree with
It's
that.
like some
I'm with that.
different roles and he's showing up differently in each role. Like he's not in this like box that people like to put black actors in. Like either you're the inspiring guy like Denzel, or you're the hood dude like, you know, the Boys in the Hood or whatever it is, or you're the like the cute football player boyfriend or whatever. Like I feel like he's kind of picking roles that's a bit more compelling, and I like that. But
No,
that's really because of his pedigree and that he doesn't need it. You're right.
yeah, he don't need
But
it.
he's talented.
Just like he's the second free black man. I think the first free black man is Jaden Smith, but that's my personal thing.
So I used to work with Jaden.
He's the first free black man. Please tell me he's the first free black man.
But yes, I
No,
would say
he's the
agree
first
with
free
that.
black man. He's the first free black man that can do whatever he wants with no problems. This is what I always thought is funny. Is he's always been like first free black man.
Okay.
All right, last one: Fresh Prince or Martin.
Oh my God.
I usually
That
start off with that, but I flipped it this one. I ended it with this one.
that is the word. I love both of those. I have a personal connection to Fresh Prince because I met Will Smith a couple times, and I worked with them. But I'm gonna have to go with Martin.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I think the Fresh Prince was a better show overall, but I think Martin has more classic moments, if that makes sense. Like if
That
you
is
look at like Fresh Prince,
that's
like as a show, like it's like seeing a business and being like, oh no, that business is run well, but they don't have no classic outfits, if that makes sense. Like their business is run well, but they don't have no Sean John velour suit that everybody knows about, but they're run well.
I agree with that. I think that it was a great overall show, probably a little bit more like well produced or well written
Mm-hmm.
kind of than Martin. But like you said, Martin has so many classic moments. I don't think there's one. Now, I don't really watch like 4 and 5 as much, but when you're talking about season 1, 2, and 3, there's not one show that I'm not literally laughing at least 70% of the show, like
Yeah.
60, 70% of the show. And there's no other show out there that I can say that with.
And I
So
don't think it'll never happen again like that, man.
yeah, it was Martin in his best zone of genius that we've seen.
I mean,
And it
it's
was
so
great.
many episodes. There's at least 30 episodes you could talk about that are classic episodes in television history.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like that first 1 to 3 season, it's no episode that I'm like, oh, just skip this one. Like that's
No.
happened. I'm gonna watch it and I'm gonna laugh.
Like
Like
I was watching the other day, I was watching the episode where they thought us they stole a CD player. We
oh,
had them set up like on New Jack City.
oh my God, that's the best one. And the best part is when he grabbed that dog
Yes,
and
and
he
then
was
it
like,
fell over.
and he was like, lay. It was so, you know
Yo,
what?
he came out with that chain though, like he Nino Brown.
It was
So
so
I think
good. Like
somebody
that's
done
what
took my
I'm saying.
CD
Like,
player. And think about how crazy it is. This is a CD player. That's how people understand it's a CD.
that's what I'm saying. Like we could just talk about it and crack up laughing. Like we don't even have to see it. Like I
Yeah.
don't know any other show that I can. And Fresh Prince, like you said, that storyline was great. They had some great serious moments and family moments and all that. But like, there's no show that I could think of that I can communicate with somebody like we're just doing, and I could get a genuine crack up laugh just off of talking about it. I don't even have to see
I
it.
don't even think Fresh Prince is that funny. It's just a good show.
It wasn't that funny. It's just a good show. But I'm saying it doesn't evoke, it's a good show, but it doesn't evoke that type of emotion.
Yeah.
As strong of an emotion as Martin does for me. So
Well,
it would have to
Nicole,
be more.
thank you for coming on. I appreciate you so much for doing this. You don't understand
Well,
how
thank
much,
you for
y'all
having
big
me.
timers out here, man. I'm just trying to get my way. You
Mm-hmm.
know what I'm saying?
Okay. All right.
Look, I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to live. I'm just trying to
We
live out
all
here.
trying to live out here.
I'm always just trying to live. I'm trying to live. Let everybody know everywhere they can hit you up at and get consultations, learn more about the nonprofit, learn more about the women's empowerment, all that good stuff. To let them know where they can hit up all those places again.
Yes, so I would say definitely the best place to hit me up is on Instagram. You can connect to my email there. You can connect to my website there. You can also connect to like a consultation there. So that's design.her.life. Design Her Life is the name of my brand. And then, I'm also on Clubhouse. I'm kind of far and in between, but I'm on Clubhouse
Look
just
here,
under Nicole
the
Sallis.
clubhouse. I ain't
Or you
going
can
there.
go to my website, and that is our designherlife.co. So everything is really Nicole Sallis or Design Her Life. And those are the places. Like I said, shoot me an email, hit me up in the DMs. I'm definitely open, as much as I can. Like I don't have a ton of time, but if, I can support someone that is, specifically my business, what we do is that we actually help online entrepreneurs with rebranding themselves, right? So we all have brands.
Mm-hmm.
So really, this is about the rebrand, taking what you have, right, and figuring out what needs to stay and what needs to be renewed and what needs to be re-strategized, right? So really helping with that brand strategy, photo shoots, styling, bringing all of that, 15 plus years of experience into my business now. But it's a holistic journey. I'm also bringing the personal development and that conversation to the experience as well. And I have a group coaching program that's about 6 months called The Multiplier. So you could definitely get more information about that. I have consulting services. And then I'm also doing a online summit later in March of 2021. So
So yeah,
definitely
get
hit
on
me up.
there. Everybody get on there.
Yes,
I'm
get
trying to get
on
her
there.
design this Captain Save 'em. Um, you
You gonna
know.
upcycle your new Captain Save a Hoe.
Yeah, should I save her? I wanna be saved.
Oh my God. But
Well,
thank you
no,
so much
thank
for
you.
having
No,
me.
Nicole, I appreciate this
Great
so
catching
much.
up
I really
virtually.
appreciate it. And yo, like, well, we gonna push everybody there though, and everybody make sure y'all hit her up and tell her to get my Captain Save a Hoe outfit together as well. When you set up in a consultation, make sure you put in the notes if there are notes. Where Darryl Captain Save a Hoe, where's Swiss Captain Save a Hoe outfit. That's all we saying.
Okay.
And,
Put
and
that
let
in
him know
the
he'll
notes.
pay for it. Let him know he'll pay for it. He ain't cheap. He'll pay for
All right. Put it in the notes.
it.
Put it in the notes and send me some Martin gifts, and I might be laughing with you on the inbox.
See, yeah, I got the Martin game cards.
For real?
No, yeah, I got it
What
right
is
here.
that?
Hold on. Give me a second.
Oh
Hold on. Let
no,
me
I
show you real
need
quick.
those. Where they come? Where did they go? Let me look this up right now.
So it's a Martin trivia game
Ah,
book with all the trivia in it. It's a game. This the instruction book, but it's
that
a
is
trivia game with it. It's like you move around the board. The board's over there though, but you move around the board. These are all the different questions that are in there for Martin. I got one for the Wired too.
wow. Where did you
It's
get
a
it?
black-owned company too. They're
Wow.
called Trivia Party Game.
Trivia party games. I'm gonna have to look it up.
Yeah, they're on IG. Because I got them off. I bought off IG from them.
Yeah, I found it. I found the little cards right here. Awesome. Well, thank you. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm about to start. I'm gonna watch Martin right now,
yeah,
actually.
I know. Well, thank you once again, no, Nicole. I appreciate it so much, and I'll have it up this week coming up.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And everybody take care. God bless. Talk
All
to you
right,
soon.
peace.